सुनने वालों को सिराज ज़ैदी का बहुत बहुत प्यार भरा आदाब, namaskar and good afternoon. You're very welcome to the program. You're listening to Apna Radio, broadcasting at 93.9 Dublin South FM. What I said just now at the beginning, those who didn't get it, was that whoever is listening have got my salutation. So that's what it is. सुनने वालों को सिराज ज़ैदी का बहुत बहुत प्यार भरा आदाब, namaskar, good afternoon. Good evening in India, in fact, because it's in India, it's really evening time. That's get me there. My voice crosses the world and it gets there. Anyway, welcome back to the program. And today's program has got a lot of information about the world we live in, and particularly the world of broadcasting Prasar Bharat that Sharad has put together. But before anything else, I would like to request Charmaine Colvin, our newscaster, news broadcaster, should I say, to take it away and, let us know what the news stands India this week. So Charmaine, you take it away.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM. On India this week, US President Donald Trump has called Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to wish him happy birthday after weeks of tension over trade tariffs. The phone call on Wednesday, a day before Modi turns 75, is seen as a sign of thawing ties and followed talks between the two sides on reaching a trade agreement, which both sides called positive. Trump posted later on X saying Modi was doing a tremendous job and thanked him for support on ending the Russia-Ukraine war. Modi called him a friend and said that the two were committed to taking their partnership to new heights. It was the first call between the two since the US imposed punishing tariffs on India last month for purchasing Russian oil. Trump said half of the 50% tariff was a penalty for Delhi's purchase of Russian oil and weapons. India has defended its decision, citing domestic energy needs, and called the tariffs unfair. The exchange of sharp words between the two sides saw negotiations on the bilateral trade deal stalled. On Tuesday, a team led by US trade negotiator Brendan Lynch held talks in Delhi with officials from India's Commerce Ministry. India's exports to the US fell to $6.86 billion in August from $8.1 billion in July, according to Indian Trade Ministry data. Tuesday's meeting between Indian and US trade officials did not mark the start of the next round of trade negotiations, Delhi said, but a discussion about trying to see how an agreement could be reached. While Trump has expressed optimism about trade talks with India, he has also not backed down on the high tariffs imposed on the country. Last week, the US president called on the European Union to hit China and India with tariffs of up to 100% to force Russian President Vladimir Putin to end the war in Ukraine. The comments came just as India said it was close to finalising large parts of its free trade agreement with the EU. The families of 4 passengers who died on an Air India jet that crashed in June have filed a lawsuit in the US against plane maker Boeing and aircraft parts maker Honeywell, accusing the companies of negligence. The lawsuit filed Tuesday said faulty fuel switches caused the accident and accused the companies of doing nothing, despite being aware of the risks of the aircraft's design. Air India Flight 171, bound for London Gatwick, a Boeing 787, crashed shortly after takeoff from Ahmedabad, killing 260 people. Fuel switches have become a focus for investigators after a preliminary inquiry found that fuel to the engines was cut off moments after the plane left the ground. The US Federal Aviation Administration has said earlier that fuel control switches in Boeing aeroplanes are safe. The lawsuit alleges that both firms knew about the risk of a crash since they developed and marketed the 787 Dreamliner and its components. It cited a 2018 FAA advisory that urged, but did not mandate, operators to inspect the fuel switch's locking mechanism to ensure that it could not be accidentally moved, thereby cutting off fuel supply. In the case of Air India Flight 171, the switch was moved from run to the cut-off position, hampering the thrust of the plane, according to the AAIB's preliminary investigation report. The family said that this amounted to a design defect that allowed for inadvertent cut-off of fuel supply and total loss of thrust necessary to propel the plane. A total of 229 passengers, 12 cabin crew and 19 people on the ground perished when the plane crashed. Severe air pollution in Indian capital Delhi has led to the formation of black crusts on the walls of the Red Fort, one of the city's most iconic Mughal-era monuments, a study has found. Researchers found that the crust's deposits formed due to chemical interactions between pollutants, and the walls of the red sandstone fort were between 0.05 millimetres and 0.5 millimetres thick and could damage its intricate carvings if no action was taken. The study is the first of its kind to comprehensively examine the effects of air pollution on the 17th century monument. One of the world's most polluted cities, Delhi frequently makes headlines for its worsening air quality, especially during the winter months. Conservationists have frequently warned about the detrimental impact of pollution on heritage structures in the capital and a few other states. The study on the Red Fort, published in the peer-reviewed open-access scientific journal Heritage in June, was conducted between 2021 and 2023 by researchers in India and Italy. Heavy rains have caused devastation in the northern Indian state of Uttarakhand. Homes were damaged and cars swept away as floodwaters entered several towns and cities in the region. There are no reports of any fatalities yet. Hundreds of people have been killed in rain-related incidents this year. India regularly witnesses severe floods during the monsoon season, which runs between June and September, but officials say the intensity of rains this season has been significantly higher. And that's all from me. You have been listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Now, welcome back to the program. Thank you very much indeed, Charmaine, for a lovely news item that you put together. And indeed, this is something that I have been thinking about it quite a lot because that's what is going on in the world. So what I'm trying to say is that the world is changing constantly. And indeed, we do have, a broadcasting world. And the broadcasting world has never been, it stands still because this is the nature of the game is. In the early days when you used to listen to the radio and used to listen to a television news, you believed in that. And now, in the world of so-called false news, the news that has not been vetted or been, gone through the proper channel or whatever, it becomes very, strange that people do not understand the nature of the relying information. The people are relying on that information about news. Because news means new, whatever is new. And what is new? New is that, in the world, if you look at the globe, Qatar has held a global summit. And this is the Arab NATO alliance of all Muslim nations and Arab nations who put together a request after the attack on the Qatari soil by the Israeli government, supposedly killing the Hamas people. But that's not the reason. They wanted to flex their muscle throughout the Middle East, so as if Gaza is not enough for them to eaten up, swallowed like a little kebab, and then are now moving out and venturing out into a different territories vis-a-vis Qatar. So the Qatar has got, their act together, and they invited all the Arab countries and formed a NATO alliance of the Muslim nations. What it means? It means that if one country is attacked, the rest of the countries will join in to take the revenge. And that includes Pakistan, nuclear Pakistan, should I say. So that is a great movement. It is a great initiative. But where stands the daily killing of Gaza, where every day the blast and demolition is continuing and people are just being decimated right, left and center, reduced to rubble. People are reduced to rubble, buildings apart. People have been killed every day as we speak. and the world continues and carries on another season, another term in the school and colleges, another world, another work. And the life goes on and on and on. The rest of the world is not paying any attention. And the rest of the world cannot do anything either. That's another thing, that we get up in the morning, we try to do whatever we need to do for the day and get on with the life without thinking about the fact that a nation has been obliterated. A nation has been eradicated from the face of the earth. A country has been destroyed, and that is a country known as Palestine. So the Palestinian people, whatever the leftover, the poor people, the people with the means and the rich people left the nation a long time ago. But then after that, it's up to the poor people who were just left there and to die, basically, because they cannot die. And the most powerful phrase which Bob Geldof has got used in his, a piece that he was talking to Miriam O'Callaghan the other day on the Newsnight, and he said that it is like coming from the Boomtown Rats, is like a rat mentality, like rats, the rats, if you cage the rats and start bombing them right, left and center, in other words, if you, doing the firecrackers in a cage in which rats are being captured, they go mad. And this is what is happening. The people are getting mad because they move from A to B and they get bombed. Move to South. Move to Khan Yunis. So, hello, where they're not safe anywhere. Doesn't matter where they live, where they move, and they've nothing to live on anyway. They have no money, they have no food, they have no water, nothing. So it's an incredible form of genocide. On the other hand, we have Donald Trump, visiting King Charles, and the red carpet has been rolled to the Windsor Castle, to the extent that entertainment and everything has been laid down, and the millions and billions have been, has been wasted yesterday on the security, the biggest force, the drones, the whatever security to protect who, the man who had the diabolical record of existence. Jeffrey Epstein files are still up there, that he used to be a whatever he was at that time. I'm not allowed to say on air what he used to do with young girls and everything. But apart from that he is the most despicable individual who has taken over the United Nations of America. And, of course, hand in gloves, working with Benjamin Netanyahu. And Netanyahu is explaining that he's the most alive friend in the world, and the most alive, and all that. So, of course, he is the most relying friend. And because what he's going to do, he's going to give it to the Palestinian land to his son-in-law, Kushner. And that's been in the pipeline, that they were going to turn into a Riviera. Luxury apartment blocks will be built up. Who will build? Perhaps the cheap labor from the Middle East or India even, all that. And then they will be enjoying the land which they confiscated from the poor Palestinians. So something has to be done. They should not be allowed to do it. How? That is $1 million question. Who can... we have a saying that who will put the bell in the neck of the cat? गले में घंटी कौन बांधे? बिल्ली के गले में घंटी कौन बांधे? That's the phrase we use as an abstract phrase about who will put the bell in the cat's neck, because, this cat is going to go mad, has gone mad, and is going to go into the destruction of the entire, and has been declared that, yes, you will take over, the nation is gone. There is no two-state solution. There is nothing. There's no Palestine, only Greater Israel. And Greater Israel means that is going to go beyond that thing. Yes, the NATO has been told to bugger off. Enough is enough. You cannot be around anymore in Lebanon. So NATO forces, the United Nations keep the peacekeeping forces has been told to basically leave the land. So, that's kind of mentality is there because they are doing whatever they can. But my question is, if these one or two individuals, of course, there are army behind them, of course, there's a huge, will behind them, but rest of the world, where's Chinese, where's Korean, where's the rest of the world, where's Mr. Putin, who's been engaged in his own war with Ukraine, but at the same time should be paying attention to, but nobody is capable of doing anything about the downtrodden, poor people devastated by the war in the Palestinian state. Nobody can actually do anything. If anybody has got real blood flowing in their veins, they should come out and start saying and stopping them, come up with a strategy and literally stop them in their tracks. Anyway, if somebody's out there, if any nation has got guts to do that, they should be doing it. But here we go. Sharad has put together another interesting clip about the broadcasting industry in India called Prasar Bharati. So I'll shut up and I'll give you a chance to just listen to what's going on in India in the press and the media world.
So the world is all talking about freedom, independence, liberty, free to breathe, free to listen, the sovereignty of the country, democracy, intellectual freedom to think, to write, to talk. It is all about freedom of an individual. Once upon a time, India gathered around Doordarshan's Sunday serials and All India Radio's evening bulletins. Those signature tunes weren't just strings, but they were chimes of Indian Republic. And billion population learned to hear those and gather the spirit of the nation. Today, those notes, today, those voices still ring. You can still hear them, but they are quieter. They are brittle. Therefore, the question we must ask is, who owns the air we breathe when we turn on the public broadcasters, the public media? Is it Republic of India, or is it the power structure of the country that is manipulating the airwaves? So today we set out to do a small case study sort of comparison between India's Prasar Bharati, Britain's BBC, and German Deutsche Welle. Now these are three greatest, unique, sizable broadcasters. They all have three funding models. They have their own governance tradition and models, but then we are going to test them with their editorial autonomy, because we must remember Prasar Bharati, Doordarshan, All India Radio, BBC and German Deutsche Welle, they are all in service of its citizens. They are not for the government, they are for citizens. The Prasar Bharati Broadcasting Corporation of India Act 1990, it promised autonomy to All India Radio, that is Akashvani, and Doordarshan. In this landmark Supreme Court judgment of 1995, it said very clearly, passionately and boldly, airwaves are public property. And this ruling was for Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting of the government versus Cricket Association of Bengal, where this principle was clearly laid out that broadcasting freedom is integral to democracy. Yet, we are misplacing autonomy as just a speech in the parliament. But then we should realize that it is a structure. This autonomy is how our leaders are appointed, how the money flows into India, how complaints are adjudicated, how newsrooms perform, how the editors are able to say yes and no. And when this autonomy wraps around the institutions, this structure of the Indian Republic, the sound that we hear through the airwaves rings of independence. On paper, All India Radio and Doordarshan, they are giants. Akashvani could be running 479 stations across the country. It reaches out 92% of India's land area and about 100% of the population. It broadcasts in 23 languages and 179 dialects. Nowhere else in the world you could see the scale of the broadcast. The news service, the division that sends out the daily and the hourly bulletins, they are 647 per day and 314 hourly headlines on FM across 41 stations. This scale of newsroom management, of broadcasting is seen not in many countries. On the TV distribution side also, the public direct-to-home DTH platform, the DD free dish, has become single largest pipe into Indian homes. 49 million households have free Doordarshan DTH platform. Anyway, you have a look at it, it's the heavyweight in Indian TV distribution. So these numbers are colossal, but we started with test of autonomy, and the test of autonomy is not by these transmitters, by the spread of the airwaves. It is measured in who decides what goes on air and why. Where is the truth that is being shared with the population of India? So there is a very nice report in the Frontline latest magazine in India, and it says that the former insider of Prasar Bharati have alleged a drift from the public service editorial judgment to becoming a centralized political management. So according to the former CEO of Prasar Bharati, he has called this broadcasting institution as 200% Sarkari, which means that they are only following the government lines of order. And the critic, many of them, they highlight the broader pattern of appointments by nomination, programming getting outsourced via production agencies, and often there is this rule called Rule 194 of India's General Financial Rules, where the single source or the nomination route is used in giving out contracts, outsourcing to agencies without open competition. And in the most publicized case, Doordarshan recently commissioned a primetime show via a nominated production agency tied to a controversial anchor called Sudhir Chaudhary. Although later on from the government sources and Prasar Bharati clarified that the contract with the production company was not with the anchor but then through the production company. It also has been revealed that the amount paid to this production company or to this controversial anchor is about 17 crores, which is about 1.5 million pounds or about $2 million. Tell me which anchor in Britain or in United States also gets that high contract. In parallel, if you have observed that ANI and other private sources enjoy preferential access to official video feeds, leaving Doordarshan and their Prasar Bharati outlets looking less like a state's public window and more like an afterthought. So ANI, which is a private body, is getting access to the government feeds. There is a preferential treatment there. So what is it that is happening across the world? Why is Prasar Bharati or India not following the other autonomous bodies, the icons of broadcasting like BBC and Deutsche Welle? So BBC, although it has a very poor reputation in India, over the period it has been demonized as being anti-India. There could be few instances, but generally BBC is just not about producing news. It is also about educating the masses. It's also about the awareness and spreading information which is research based. And if you look at the infrastructure, BBC has a budget of 60 times more than that of India's Prasar Bharati. It is governed by the Royal Charter and Ofcom regulation. And always BBC journalism is at arm's length from its ministers. The editorial standards and complaints are overseen independently of the day-to-day political control. They do not belong to the government. Therefore, whatever BBC writes and broadcasts, it's independent. There is a balance to the time and the coverage that is given to the opposition as well as to the ruling party. Now comes the German Deutsche Welle. It is also a very strong international public broadcaster, and it is funded not by the license fee as in case of the British Broadcasting Corporation BBC, but by the budget from the government. But Deutsche Welle is hard-coded by editorial independence through DW Act, which means that when 1,600 reporters from across the world and more than 4,000 contributors make the editorial of DW, they have to follow the legal firewall. They have to follow the neutrality, the independence of the coverage. The editorial independence, despite coming from the government, is secure, is protected by the law. Now compare it with India, the Prasar Bharati. Though it is a mix of government grants, advertisement, Doordarshan's free dish slot auction, miscellaneous revenues. Originally, Prasar Bharati was intended to give financial and editorial autonomy, but in practice, because the money is coming from the government, from the exchequer, it is vulnerable. It is susceptible to executive pressure from the government. The revenue could have come directly from the sports coverage, the sporting events like the BBC does for the Olympics, Wimbledon, part of cricket. These are favorite sporting events. But then in India, Doordarshan is not allowed to do that live sports feed. That has been curbed in the favor of private channels. So when you are watching your favorite sports star on television in India, you are actually paying per minute to a private company, probably, which is not owned by an Indian. Remember this. And that is a big question mark. Why Doordarshan is being allowed to deplete its resources, to die a slow death in the favor of private channels from India and from outside India. There has been persistent complaints within the Prasar Bharati, AIR and Doordarshan about the shallow and the hollowing out of content cadre. That means that there are alarming high vacancies in the non-technical staff, in the editorial staff, in the staff that builds out the content, and everything is moving into the engineering and the technical staff. There are hundreds of ongoing litigations, and therefore there is a need for new service rules. But then the ministry doesn't seem to be interested. It may claim to have 314 hourly headline burst, but then the content professionals who are running these broadcasts, that's a very small minority. And when the engineering and the administrators take over the editorial desk, that is where the quality of the product, the quality of the edits, the quality of the programs starts to decline, and nobody likes them. On the contrary, what we are seeing on the private channels is a high drama, 6-window dogfight, fight for words, fight for space. There is no intellectualism there. There is no silence there. There is no patience there. The anchors are doing a cockfight there. They are instigating cockfight there. It's a shame that we are seeing those private channels as a national television. And why have controversial appointments like Sudhir Chaudhary without any tenders or open competition? Just because of loyalty? Question mark. And this journalist is not clean either legally. So here we are. India built a broadcasting empire that reaches more homes in more languages than almost any other nation. Yet, what was once a mirror of India's diversity has now become a mouthpiece of conformity to the government, to the ruling party's agenda. And that is where the problem is. We must understand that public broadcasting is never about entertainment. It is about vision. It is about national values. And it is about the voices of minority, of majority, of those in power, of those in opposition. Across the world, where the democracies have been standing the strength in time, they all have a strong public broadcasting system. But then, unfortunately, Prasar Bharati, the Indian broadcasters, are losing its soul, are losing its intellectual grounds. The intellectualism is finding its slow death in the Indian media. And if Doordarshan and Akashvani once again have to become people's voice, something which we are able to relate to, something which we would like to follow as a national value, as a national mission, then this department of broadcasting, this organization of Prasar Bharati must come out of the ambit of being obedient to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. They have to be given the independence. They have to be given the very freedom which the people across the world, the people across the countries fight for. The liberty of thought, words and deeds. The liberty of intellectual growth. The liberty of finding the values in which we want to live. It is very simple to get our airwave freedom back to the Republic of India. We just want our member of parliaments, our government, our local authorities, our local leaders to be told that it is important that we have intellectual freedom, freedom of speech in the right sense. And therefore, it is not normal to listen to the shouting matches on the private channel. It is not okay that the future generation of India grows seeing the anchors who have no respect either for the opposition, for the women, for the diversity of the country. We have to build a vision which has respect for dissent. We have to build a broadcasting system which is able to bring extra thoughts into our system, to challenge the traditions or to protect the traditions of India, the very values which have kept India alive for centuries together. That is the necessity, that is the power of the public airwave that Supreme Court rightfully and with justification have told the Republic of India. With those thoughts, I leave you until next week. Stay safe, stay informed, and dutifully ask questions at home or on the airwaves. Bye for now.
Your community radio for South Dublin. Dublin South FM.
It is great to be on Dublin South 93.9 FM.
The loss of a baby at any stage of pregnancy or after birth is heartbreaking for any family. This October, during Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, the National Maternity Hospital Foundation in Holles Street invites you to join our Walk to Remember this year, a 100,000 step event to honour and remember every precious baby loved and missed. Every step you take and every euro you raise will help support families at the National Maternity Hospital. Together we walk with love, we walk with hope, and we walk to remember. Register now at nmhfoundation.ie.
Broadcasting to South Dublin on 93.9. This is Dublin South FM.
Indeed, this is Dublin South FM, and welcome back to the program. And you're listening to SIRAJ Zaidi until 4 o'clock and India time until 7:30. Now, it starts at 7:30 actually and goes to 8:30 because we have a 4.5 hour difference between Ireland and India. Anyway, going back to the program, what we're talking about and what Sharad has very bravely put together, the state of affair of Prasar Bharati, once it was known as All India Radio, AIR, that it's in shambles. It is controlled and cajoled by the ruling government and all that. So if you really want to muzzle the media of the nation, you might as well kill the media altogether. And, then the people like Republic Broadcasting, who was blatantly, broadcasting at the top of their voice, shouting match and all that. Anyway, I don't want to go there because it's boring. It has no intellectualism in it at all. What I'm really interested in, what's going on, the relationship between the world and India. And we particularly here, the diaspora community in the Republic of Ireland, have a relationship with the Mother India. So-called our own land India, because people are fluid, people are traveling back and forth regularly and doing amazing amount of work for the nation, by the nation. They're trying to create something, particularly in the business sector, in the arts sector, vis-a-vis my role as a promoter of arts in both ways. Cinema art is my area, in fact, rather than any other art. I'm not a sculpturist, I'm not a painter, I'm not any other art photographer or anything like that. I'm an actor. And when it comes to performing arts, I do my best to perform to my best ability when the work comes in. So we're working on a couple of short films in collaboration with a talented director-actress, 𝐀𝐩𝐬 up in Amsterdam. And 𝐀𝐩𝐬 and myself are talking about a project called Breaking the Silence. It is a short film. I might change the title. I don't know yet, but it could be The Myths of the Dance, or because what happened in this short film is a horrendous, betrayal of the trust between the dancers. And it's an interesting take that I've written, a beautiful short film. So we're going to make it soon. And 𝐀𝐩𝐬 probably will play the lead role of the dancer. And then I will be directing it. It's a good good challenge for me at this age of my life, a stage of my life, at the age of my life, that I will be venturing out in directions, directorial debut, should I call it, because enough is acting, enough is producing festivals, 16 festivals that I have produced, 16 film festivals. Each of one of them have given me enough pain, to say the least, and not a satisfaction that I wanted. Yes, momentary, it is a very pleasant, existence of a festival. I like the opening, I like the press launch, I like the closing films, and of course the highlight is the gala night, the cultural night, the dance and live music and all that. Yes, I love that. But then after that, right now, it was happened last weekend, and this is nearly a week, in fact, and the post-festival syndrome, a depressing syndrome, is setting up in my heart and mind. Yes, I feel a strange void in terms of the guests are gone, flown back to their, respective country, back in Amsterdam. 𝐀𝐩𝐧𝐚 is back there. Mr. Naveed Jaffrey came from Bollywood. I try to create the atmosphere of Bollywood because that's what the film industry is all about. And since I have not been able to actually made my mark in a big way in Bollywood, in a small way, yes, I have, but not in a big way. So it's sort of like a frustration. It's sort of like a thing like that I have not been able. But on the contrary, I'm being able to create a huge introduction and impact here in the Republic of Ireland. First film was released by myself, BV number 1, years ago, 30 years ago, by Govinda movie. And then we have almost 5,000 films released in the cinema all over the world. Those who are releasing all over the world were actually being, released simultaneously here in Dublin as well. And then what happens? Piracy happens. The pirates were sitting in China, Hong Kong, God knows where, which part of the world. They have actually started releasing the film on the internet, new films. So the people were watching on the secondhand pirate copies. And nobody would come if the film is slightly not super duper hit. They would not come near to the cinema, because coming to the cinema means parking the car, buying the ticket. And if the family is there, then forking out at least 40, 50 quid. And then, of course, the lunch or something like that. So like 100 quid is easily be. So this decided to only come and watch the big blockbusters. Long behold, I was not going to sit quietly and knuckle under. So therefore, I become very creative, and I've invented the film festival, Indian Film Festival of Ireland, in 2010. And 16 years have passed that I'm consistently, diligently, madly, I've been doing this, despite the fact that it cost me arm and a leg sometimes, heartache, my health, all of that is very much, talking about the health, poor Robert Redford. Robert Redford, 89 years of age, one of my darling actor. I loved Robert Redford. I wanted to go to Utah and attend his writer's lab that he has created for screenwriters and scriptwriters. I might actually replicate that sometime, something similar to in the film festival, because films are all about writing. And if the writing is not right, writing is not right. That's a phrase in itself. Then the movie is not going to be right. And therefore, script. Somebody has said, what is the mantra for a successful film? He said, look, if you're buying an apartment or a house or whatever, what do you say? Location. And when you're buying a house and an apartment and looking for a house, you choose the best of the best location, because that's where the property value holds. Similarly, it's a script. If the script is not right, the movie will not be right. So Robert Redford turned around and he set it up in Utah, where he was based, his script writing ad. And in fact, it was a festival. It was a film festival that he used to hold there, and all that. But I loved him in films like River Runs Through It, one of my favorite films. Many films, All the President Men, Watergate, wonderful. And of course, westerns that he did on the horseback and everything. So, but Robert Redford, I don't know, the charisma, the charm, the way he conducted himself on the screen, and he used to in the last days, in fact, the last 20, 30 years, in many years ago, he used to quit working for the studios, and he set up his own production company, and he was working for himself, producing, directing, and acting in his own movies. So a delectable man, a delectable individual, charismatic is the word, charismatic, and one of the topmost Hollywood actor that no more there. 89 years of age, not a bad age, but again, there are peoples like Clint Eastwood, who's 95, 94, 100. These guys are, but there you go. But adieu, final curtain to Robert Redford, and wherever he is, he's in a rest in peace. Anyway, I'll take a break and I'll take a track and sit back, relax. And today I am going to play the best of Asha ji and Rafi ji.
सजाऊंगा लुट कर भी तेरे बदन की डाली को, लहू जिगर का दूंगा हंसी लबों की लाली को। सजाऊंगा लुट कर भी तेरे बदन की डाली को, लहू जिगर का दूंगा हंसी लबों की लाली को। है वफा क्या इस जहां एक दिन दिखला दूंगा मैं दीवाना। चुरा चुरा लिया है तुमने जो दिल को, नजर नहीं चुराना सनम, बदल के मेरी तुम जिंदगानी, कहीं बदल ना जाना सनम। ले लिया दिल, हाय मेरा दिल, हाय दिल लेकर मुझको ना बहलाना, चुरा लिया है तुमने जो दिल को, नजर नहीं चुराना सनम।
चुरा लिया है तुमने जो दिल को। कभी कभी लोग एक्चुअली वाकई दिल चुरा ले जाते हैं। कैसे चुरा ले जाते हैं ये बताना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है, क्योंकि जिसका दिल चोरी होता है उस वही जानता है कि किस तरह उसका दिल चोरी हुआ। एंड बस होते हैं ये थीव्स होते हैं, और कभी कभी दे कम इन अ डिफरेंट शेप्स एंड साइज एंड दे आर कम in a beautiful existence, and then they steal your heart. And so anyway, good song. Another song perhaps, those who have stolen my heart, good luck to them, because it's you can keep it actually. I don't mind. And maybe I could steal your heart one day. But sit back, relax, and enjoy this song.
तुम क्या जानो अब भी मुझको पहचानो सपना तुम्हारा मैं हूँ मानो या ना मानो भोली हो तुम क्या जानो अब भी मुझको पहचानो सपना तुम्हारा मैं हूँ मानो या ना मानो देखो नादानी से मुझे ना ठुकराना नहीं तो गाती ही रहोगी ये तराना कि धीरे धीरे दिल बेकरार होता है होते 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 प्यार होता है
This point is a very poignant point, a very pertinent point. Then people do take their time, and why not? Because usually the men and a man rushes into the love, and the woman takes back and takes her time off and take it easy because obviously she doesn't want to jump into the love straight away and doesn't want to go into, right away. But then again, if it's too late, it goes away. It doesn't stay there because it is something, the spark has to be alive. The spark must be kept alive if it's real. If it's not real, then it comes and goes all the time. You meet people, you drop people, you discard people, you love people, but then you don't love people. And it depends on your feeling, your circumstances, your work, lately I've been actually watching a lot of clips of so-called the social media clips of the so-called stand-up comedians and influencer in India. Those who are really, and there's a script behind it. And actually, in fact, at the back of it, I'm thinking of writing a script behind that. But these people are young people, youngsters, who are talking about anything. I mean, rubbish, whatever. But they have got millions and millions of followers, millions of affiliates of likes and liking and all that. But love is something that is lacking in their lives. And not on their lives, but in a lot of people's life, in fact. One can fulfill the love with the temporary small pleasures, as we call it. And temporary small pleasures, if you're in the company of somebody you love, you have fulfilled your desire. But if that person goes away and it comes back again and then it continues, so on and so forth. But permanent love is not something that easy, as the song says, which you just heard, that pal bhar ka jeena ban jaye na zindagi bhar ka, whatever, what I'm trying to say. That if you are temporary, like somebody, but then again, after a long time, you realize that, oh my God, I made a mistake, and it is now, in your throat, neither a lump, like a lump in your throat, neither you can swallow, nor you can spit it out. But I hope not, because the love is a beautiful thing. If two people would really genuinely is the word, come together and like each other, merge into each other, melt into each other, and they be part of each other, life, problems, whatever. And I'm not using the word marriage here. The marriage is something old-fashioned in the 21st century, I think. But still, young people need to get married in order to procreate. But those who are beyond that could be enjoying the love without the commitment, should I say. But the commitment is there. You do have to have a commitment with the person. But then you do what you need to do in order to keep other persons happy and indeed enjoy what need to be enjoyed. Anyway, time's up and I'm going to say goodbye because, I have a commitment. I have a life out of radio as well. Radio is radio. And although it's my first love, I love radio, in fact, and therefore I'm here and you're listening to me every week. And thank you very much for tuning me in. And please forgive my faults on air, but I do my best not to create too many of them. Brood over the content that I really talk about it. But anyway, one more song and you enjoy the song. Have a great weekend. Enjoy what is best for you, and give me a break, and I'll be back next week, same time, same place, 93.9 Dublin South FM. Bye for now.
रब ने बना दी जोड़ी, तेरी रब ने बना दी जोड़ी, तू हाँ कर या ना कर यारा, ओ यारा ये बोले जोगी का एक तारा हो। तेरी रब ने बना दी जोड़ी, तू हाँ कर या ना कर यारा, ओ यारा ये बोले जोगी का एक तारा। क्या बोले तेरा एक तारा, क्या बोले ओ क्या बोले तेरा एक तारा, मुझे क्या लेना है जोगी, ओ जोगी मेरी शादी मर्जी से होगी हो। मुझे जाने दो, हट जाओ, ओ हट जाओ, मुझे जाने दो, न खन खाओ खन खन कंगना, ओ कंगना।